Hello, everyone. Today we are speaking with RJ Spina, author of the book Supercharged Self-Healing and Revolutionary Guide to Access High-Frequency States of Consciousness that Rejuvenate and Repair. RJ is a metaphysical teacher who healed himself from severe illness. We'll let RJ explain more of that story as we speak today. He teaches the Ascend the Frequencies healing technique, which is a self-healing and self-realization technique which has helped many people heal. Hello, RJ.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to meet you. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. How about you?
Very good, thank you. You have such an incredible story. I can't wait for listeners to hear some of the things that you've been through.
Yeah, I mean, we could fast forward to maybe what happened about 6 years ago. I was very, very ill. I wound up spending a couple of weeks in the hospital. I was told I had sepsis, type 1 diabetes, Hashimoto's autoimmune disease, pancreatitis, thyroiditis. I was very, very sick. I was told I wouldn't even live another 48 hours. Fortunately, I did. I got a massive amount of antibiotics. I was in the hospital for about 2 weeks, got sent home. Well, they actually put a stent in my arm because the antibiotics I was getting for the sepsis was so strong that I had to have something put in my arm to administer the antibiotics 3 times a day. It didn't work because about 6 weeks after getting discharged, the sepsis had gotten into my spine and literally crushed my spinal cord. And I became permanently, I'm doing air quotes, permanently paralyzed from the chest down. I was rushed to the hospital for emergency life-saving surgery, which is where they performed something called the laminectomy, which is where they literally scrape off the infection right off the spine. And the prognosis was, as it was before the surgery, complete paraplegia from the chest down. The neurosurgeon, who's fantastic, told me that you cannot recover from the damage that was already done to my spine. There's an MRI of my spine on my website. There's a video. You can see me. You can see the surgeon's notes. You can see the MRI, and then you can see time-stamped video of me unparalyzing myself and overcoming all of these chronic diseases, issues, sepsis, paralysis. And through the understanding of self-healing and self-realization, I wrote the book, Supercharged Self-Healing. And as I predicted while in the ICU, believe it or not, I said in 100 days, I would walk unassisted and I'd be completely healed and all my issues would be totally resolved. And on the 100th day, I walked, and this is all videotaped, it's documented, and I no longer take any medications. I'm not sick. My blood work is perfect. All issues have been resolved and transcended.
Wow. That is just incredible. And the power of the mind is just unbelievable as far as healing goes. With this podcast, we usually talk about grieving with losing family members from the other side, but I think it's important for people to understand grieving is all encompassing, especially when it comes down to our healing the physical body.
Yeah, that what we can think of the book, Supercharged Self-Healing, and what's taught in there, which people have used to overcome things that they couldn't overcome, mental, emotional, and physical. You can think of this as meditation, various different levels of meditation. And what I have found with myself, as well as with literally thousands of people at this point, is that whatever we have going on, whether it's mental, emotional, or physical, I'd like to say that the human character, or what I call the ego mind identity, is the one that has these issues or difficulties or problems. And as you remove the egoic mind or the egoic personality, the problems that that character or egoic mind had begin to resolve themselves and leave you. So whether it's anxiety, depression, or even some kind of physical challenge, they're all related to the character and to the mental body. And once you start to release the character that has all these problems, the problems start to go away. And so this is really where some of the paradigm shift begins. And it's through meditation, very simple, but yet incredibly profound meditations. allow us to move past the limitations that our egoic mind have given us. And along with those limitations of the egoic mind, the subsets of those limitations are sickness and disease, whether mental, emotional, or physical. And as we start to address these things through meditation, they literally resolve themselves.
It's like telling yourself a whole new story and then installing a new story. Am I right?
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. Absolutely. In fact, we could say it's deleting the old story, right? Of I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a diabetic, I'm a manic depressive, I'm whatever it is, I'm an alcoholic, or doesn't matter what it is. It's by deleting that story, the issues that that character and story are associated with leave you as well. And so then we start to work with spirit, consciousness, the real self, your essence, sentience, whatever word you want to use. We start to work with our core directly. Now, our core, what we are, doesn't have sickness or disease. The body-mind does. Now, we're not the body-mind. We're this intangible thing that exists within us that once we are connected to this, it can truly have complete dominion over the body-mind. So the book will teach you how to delete the egoic character, the voice in your head that tells you all your limitations and all these things that are wrong with you. And as you start to delete that character, it's really miraculous. The things that are wrong with that character, mental, emotional, or physical, start to leave. And it's very simple, but it's so profound and so tangible. These things, the exercise in the book, because you immediately feel it. You feel a shift in energy. You can actually feel higher frequency energy. You can feel your state of consciousness changing. And so for me, the truth is tangible. And when you work with it, you will actually feel it.
Mm-hmm. I teach meditation, and a lot of times people will go through a whole process of, well, if I'm not my thoughts and I'm not my body, then what am I? And it's funny to get that realization when people, it's like a light bulb moment, and they realize, then they really start to dive deeper into who they actually are, this essence that you're speaking of.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Self-inquiry, right? Meditation, going within and understanding the self. It's the one mandate that existence has, and it is to know thyself and all our infinite possibilities. So by going within and doing meditation, we are actually realizing this self and everything that comes after this self, thoughts, emotions, experiences, even the body, are creations. They're not the self directly, just like the painter is not the painting. Now, we often lose ourselves in our creations. We lose ourselves in our thought patterns. We lose ourselves in our emotions. We lose ourselves in bodily sensations and experiences the body has. Now, I certainly can see and understand why that happens, but it's not the truth, because we're the awareness of those things. And then we then give birth to them through creation by using energy. And the more that we can work with our essence, our core, and the book teaches you definitively how to do that through meditation, any one of our creations can be recreated, or a creation that isn't working for us can be removed. And that's part of what I talk about with the ego mind identity. We create this human character through our identifications. But as we meditate, we start to remove these layers of misperception. And then what remains is this soul, this spirit, this I am. People are familiar with the I am. We come back to this pure awareness, this pure creatorness. And from there, working from there, and as that, we can do anything, which includes self-healing.
Mm-hmm. How did you get to this point? Were you already interested in the metaphysical, in spirit, in that essence that you're speaking of? Were you already aware of that before this illness happened to you, or did this realization come to you while you were in the hospital?
No, so this was as a child. I would leave my body, or what we call astral project, or astral travel. So this was very normal for me. Literally, as a little kid, anytime I would just sit down in a chair or lie down and relax, obviously without training, I was a little kid, I really didn't know what I was doing, but I would just automatically, I'd be outside of my body, my consciousness or soul or spirit, however you want to say it. I would literally be looking at my body. My consciousness would be standing next to my bed or above me. So this was totally normal. I knew as a child that I was spirit. So I never wrestled with maybe some of the egoic conundrums that we have about thoughts and body and bodily sensations and roles that we play. I never got caught in that. But what did happen is that this went on and on and on as a kid. And then I remember telling my mom about it finally. And I asked her, where do you go when when you relax, when you go to sleep? What world do you travel to? She's like, what are you talking about? I go, you don't go into the stars and into the heavens and interact with all these beings and then like retain all the information and all the wisdom. You don't keep that with you when you come back. She's like, son, I don't know what you're talking about. So it was, for me, totally normal, completely normal. And in fact, so normal, I thought that's what everyone did. And until I was explained that pretty much no one, for the most part, does that. And one of the messages I got as I was doing this a lot as a kid is that I was almost like, it's a little early for this. It's like, you need to have a human experience. You need to develop your intellect enough to a certain point. And then everything that you're doing is right on. Everything that your instinct, what you're retaining, where you're going, the metaphysics that you understand even as a kid, this is right on, but you need to have a human life. And so I kind of, I wouldn't say abandoned it, but it certainly wasn't the preoccupation of my life until about 24. And then it all sort of came back through a meditation I did. I started doing past life readings for people, reading their energy field and all this kind of stuff. And really pretty much since 24, we could just say it's been just another level after level after level of deeper self-realization or enlightenment. And I would say that upon awakening from life-saving surgery, I literally had awakened into cosmic consciousness. I remembered how healing actually works, and I started explaining it right in the ICU. So that was a very long answer. So, and I apologize, but the answer is that I've always been like this, whatever like this is. And I came into this world this way, and I will exit this world this way.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. And I love the fact that you said in hospital that in 100 days, I'm going to walk. My best friend who passed away in a couple of years ago, she was diagnosed with scleroderma. And they said the same thing to her with scleroderma. They said, you know what, you are going to pass away, basically. You've got 24 days, pretty much. Go home, finish up everything you need to do, say your goodbyes. You're not going to make it. And she said at that moment when the doctor said that to her, she heard 7 years in the background of her mind. And within 7 years, she was basically in remission from scleroderma. So was it a message from the other side that told her that? Did she decide 100 days herself? I don't know, but it was this knowing that brought her into her own healing, different than what you experienced, but just interesting how powerful our minds really are.
Oh, I'd like to say that the death of the finite mind is the birth of wisdom. And so when we're in tune with ourselves, the vastness of the self or the spirit or the soul, whatever word you want to use, is almost incomprehensible. Okay, our intellect is simply just information that we've memorized while here. And what we really are is timeless. And so when we start working with meditation and working with the self directly, the amount of information and wisdom that all of us actually contain is literally unfathomable. And the intellect is literally like a petulant child next to the towering presence of wisdom. And when we're in tune with ourselves, we get this kind of information perpetually, constantly. Really, what all of us need to learn to do is to be quiet internally. Now, when we're quiet internally, which means not thinking and not emoting, and I realize that's the default setting for human beings, but get the book, it'll teach you how to change that in a second. But if we start to learn how to be very still and quiet inside, the self, what you really are, will speak to you. Your guides and helpers will speak to you. The universe will speak to you. Everything is here. It's just outside of our physical sensory perception. And that's part of the things that we need to understand. We only perceive 0.003 of what exists in the greater reality. Now think about that. 0.003, nothing. We don't see, perceive, or understand really anything. And as we start to tap into the self, the consciousness, the spirit, the veil that blocks this greater reality actually starts to get pulled aside. And this is exactly what happened for me as a kid. It became completely removed upon awakening from life-saving surgery. And I used to say as a kid, if I ever get sick, I'll just heal myself. I used to say that. If you would have asked me back then, how would you do it? I don't know, but I felt it in me. I felt it. I knew it. I knew it. And when I woke up from surgery, it was like a muscle memory. Everything had returned to me. It's like, oh, I know exactly what to do. And I just started doing it. So we all need to learn how to be present in an effortless fashion. Now, once that becomes our new default setting of being present, we will start to experience all of our wisdom, all of our love, and all of our peace perpetually. And this, to me, is really the point, is to feel the depth of the self. And we'll start to realize that this love, this wisdom, this peace that's inside us is universal. It's the same for everyone. Forget about the body, forget about what the skin, forget about the gender, forget about all that stuff. At the core, we are exactly the same. And when we start to experience this for ourselves, we'll start to recognize this in everyone else. And when that happens, the world will change.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad you brought up this idea of the present moment. You say in your book, you talk about the present moment as being complete inner stillness and silence, having no impulses of doubt coming in. How does one help to center enough to get rid of those unhelpful thoughts that do come in when we're trying to be fully still or fully present?
Yeah, what we have to understand is that the voice in the head, okay, is your ego mind, or what I call the ego mind identity. Okay, who you think you are, the voice in your head. Okay, we have to realize that the voice in your head is just the conditioning, the mental conditioning that occurs upon incarnation here. It's not authentically you, and that's easy to see that because you're the awareness of the voice in your head. You're the one who's listening to it. So you cannot be the voice in the head and the one who's listening to it. So it's rather obvious that we're not the voice in the head. That's just our programming. So what we have to do is just allow our energy, and here's the analogy that I use. It's in the book as well. We've all seen a bathtub or a sink or a pool, the water draining down from a bathtub or a sink, whatever, right? Okay. Now, we use energy for everything. Now, the reason why we keep thinking is because we have so much energy in our mental body. Okay. If we want to stop thinking and meditate easily, perpetually, is just to have develop some facility over our use of our energy. So the analogy is just like water draining from a sink, let the energy drop down out of your head, like water draining from a bathtub. Let it drop all the way down, past your chin, to your throat. Now your mind's blank. You can't think. Let the energy drop all the way down past your chest, past your tummy, all the way down to just beneath your belly button, above your groin. That's the gas tank where our energy sits in our body. Just let it sit there. Not through effort, just like water dropping down, draining from a bathtub. And then just stay there through relaxation. And you'll realize the mind is completely clear. And when you do that over and over and over again, we get good at what we do repeatedly. You practice just that one thing over and over again, it will become so easy to be completely present. And that negative doubt, that negative self-talk in the head will cease to exist because we have learned how to control energy. When the energy is in the head, the voice in the head won't stop talking. When the energy has dropped down, like water draining from a bathtub, and sits just beneath the belly button, mind is clear, emotions are stable. And now our intuitive wisdom will start to come online. We don't have to wonder what to do. What am I supposed to do in this life? What is the best thing to do? When you're quiet inside, every answer will waft up from your heart, and it'll literally fill your mind, and you'll know exactly what to do, when to do it, with whom, what to say, what not to say, how to say it. We are guided perpetually, and the wisdom is inside us. All we have to do is be quiet enough to hear it.
Mm. Absolutely. You know what I'm thinking when you're saying this? It's reminding me of focusing on the Dantian area, like in traditional Chinese medicine. And actually, even Rod Stryker, he's a yoga teacher, and he says that any pranic disturbances, anything going on with the mind or energy body, if we focus on the Dantian and lock our focus down into that space, now we can receive clarity, and it will rebalance all things, including severe depression.
It's exactly right. I have courses on my website that talks about mastering your mental health. Okay, because from my perspective, the real pandemic on this planet is the mental health pandemic.
Agree.
The anxiety and depression that is gripping this planet is breaking my heart. So there's a course on my website called Master Your Mental Health. It gives all these instantaneous exercises that literally takes 2 seconds, and it gives you complete command over your energy. Now, when we have command over our energy, just like what you were talking about, what I was talking about, when the energy is in its quote unquote proper place, okay, think of it as gas in the gas tank, okay? When our energy is in the proper place, it literally sits exactly where you said, just beneath the belly button and above the groin. Now, once you get good, and through those exercises that are in that course or in the book, you'll become a master at it. It's impossible to have anxiety or depression, because anxiety is overuse in the mental body, energy swirling in the mental body, and depression is energy stuck in the emotional body, sitting there, stuck, which is why we can't get over things and why we replay things, why we get stuck on sadness or anger, because it becomes stagnant. So once we learn how to move the energy out of the mental body, out of the emotional body, any kind of mental health issue will be resolved. And we don't need to go the pharmaceutical route. You certainly can if you like, but we don't need to go to the pharmaceutical route. What we actually need is greater self-awareness and a facility to move our energy. And then all issues will be resolved.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. I always say that too, as far as healing, especially physical portions, is we need to use Eastern and Western medicines together. And then we've got 100% great healthcare, right? But and a portion of that we have to take self-responsibility for, and utilizing techniques like meditation, as you're speaking of, are a great way to get us there.
Yeah, a holistic approach is always best. Some situations, and I've said this, and sometimes maybe people are surprised, but in certain situations, Western medicine is the absolute best route to take. Not all the time, not all the time, but certain situations. In fact, I'll give an example from my perspective. I needed to go to the hospital and have emergency surgery. Don't take me to a Reiki practitioner when I have, a spinal abscess that's literally killing me, right? I don't want an energy healer, okay? I need a great surgeon, and I was lucky enough to get a great surgeon. Okay, so those kind of situations, Western medicine is king, period. Okay, now how I see it is your day-to-day existence, your day-to-day life, Western medicine is not the way to go. Again, this is my perspective. We want to develop enough self-awareness, understanding ourselves, and a facility with our energy through meditation, through yoga. It doesn't even matter necessarily what the practice is, but we want to know ourselves well enough and have a greater enough facility over our energy that we are in charge and we manage our day-to-day life, not pharmaceuticals, not someone else. And I think when we do that, I think humanity also graduates into a sort of spiritual adulthood. Right now, we're abdicating responsibility, our health, and we're putting it on someone else's shoulders, whether it's our doctor, our chiropractor, whatever, it doesn't matter who it is. We need to take responsibility. We have the ability to change anything that is going on in terms of our body. I put my spine back together. I resolved type 1 diabetes, which is also impossible. I don't take any medication. Now, if we are truly dedicated, and I am very dedicated, and we are truly disciplined, and I am very disciplined, There's absolutely no limitation to what we can do. Our limitations begin where our discipline ends. And so if we completely apply ourselves, we're an immortal creator. It doesn't matter what the situation is. And hopefully this book is proper teachings and proper protocols for everyone to use so they can take themselves wherever they're at now to wherever it is they want to go.
We can call it like a personal PPE, your internal PPE.
That's right. Everyone inside is the same. Okay. It's all one spirit moving through everything. It's all God, source, creator, whatever word you want to use. It's all one inside. Now, when you tap into that, you literally have that kind of power, that we are a fractal, a complete whole fractal of this ultimate creator being. It's like, think of a circle, right? A circle is not missing anything, right? It's not incomplete, right? It's whole as it is. And all of us are whole as we are. We are a fractal of divinity, of the creator. Anything that you want to do is within your capability. I think for me, all human beings needed was to be taught properly. And so this first book, from my perspective, is proper education.
Absolutely. And it's fantastic. Listeners, you should definitely read it. You have one meditation in there I just wanted to tap into before we let you go. It's called the meditation to turn off the program of illness. Is this something that we can do, like you're talking about, just focusing around the area of the belly button? Is that the process with that? Or could you explain it a bit more?
Sure. Yeah. So turning off the program of illness, first off, I'll just give the analogy and then I'll go into it. So if think of a lamp, right? A lamp plugged into the wall. Okay. Now a lamp has to be plugged into the wall because that's its energy source, right? It's not plugged in. You can turn the light on and off all you want. Nothing's going to happen, right? Okay. Now, when we unplug the lamp from the wall, lamp cannot go on, right? It has no energy circulating through it for the light bulb to go on. Okay. Same with that little switch, the on off switch, right? You turn it off, it cuts off the electricity. It doesn't work. Okay. I want everyone to really think about what I'm talking about. When we cut off an energy source to a program that we don't want to run, it ceases to run. It's like deleting a program from your computer. It's like unplugging a lamp from the outlet. It cannot turn on. So the book shows in that step to go to, there's a meditation for it. So you go to, we'll just say, a certain state of consciousness or to a certain state of meditation. Once you're in that meditation, you simply imagine a neon sign lit up with all the different sicknesses and diseases that you're running. Diabetes, cancer, anxiety, depression, it doesn't matter. You see them lit up like neon signs. Okay, now while in this meditation, the first thing that you do is you flip off, just like with a lamp, flip the light off. And then you'll see that the neon signs that are lit up go dark. Now they're no longer on. No, they're no longer running. Then the next thing that you do is, just like with your lamp in the meditation, you unplug those neon signs that are lit up with your sickness and disease. You unplug them. Now they cannot go back on again. They're unplugged. And then the last thing that you do is you cut the cord, just like you would cut an electrical cord from your lamp. If your lamp is unplugged, the cord is cut and it's turned off, that lamp's never going on again. It can't. It cannot. It has no energy source. The same thing in terms of our sickness and disease. They are programs. We call them symptoms. They are programs that you're running. Turn them off, cut the cord, unplug them from their energy source, and they can never run again. And this is one of the ways that I got over hypothyroidism and type 1 diabetes, not through taking medication, but by doing that one meditation along with the other steps in the book.
Mm-hmm. And actually, I was going to ask the question, like, how often, how many times do I have to do that? But I think you answered it, because if the cord is cut, then it's once. Right?
Yeah, I mean, think about with your own lamp, right? If you turn it off, you unplug it, and you cut the cord, do you ever have to address it again? No, right? That lamp's done. Okay. This is so interesting for human beings, though. Watch how much self-doubt creeps in that once you've done it. The voice in your head. Oh, did that really work? Did I really do that? Was that really effective? Did I do that right? It's really amazing what the ego mind is. It's torture, is essentially it's torture, which is why meditation is so important. The answer, like you said, you do it once and you're done. The self-doubt creeps in, right? So we have to learn how to manage the self-doubt. And now we can go back to that little meditation that we just talked about letting the energy, like water draining from a bathtub, letting the energy drop down out of the mental body and emotional body. There's no way to have any doubt because there's no electricity turning within the mental body to make you doubt yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So all of this is metaphysics. Okay. Magic with a CK, not with a C like 3-card Monty. That's not what I mean. Magic with a CK, okay, is metaphysics. Magic is the accessing and utilization of energies that lie outside of physical sensory perception. That's what magic is. Everything that we have been talking about is magic. I make no bones about it. I do high-level magic. I teach magic. I teach metaphysics. They're the same thing, about how to move your energy properly, how to access what's going on that is beyond the 5 senses. It's science. When you work with it properly, it's tangible. You feel it, and the results are there. If you have a different understanding of things, you do different things, you get different results. And humanity is ready to work with itself in this way, and that's why the book is available.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And even this way that you described the mind, it's like this level of suffering. When we get on that hamster wheel, we've cut the cord, so it's done, but we replay and replay and replay. So using your book and finding these techniques to really drop down into the essence of ourselves can kind of cut off that cycle of suffering that seems never ending sometimes.
That is actually the only way it happens. Mm-hmm. What you just said, if there is energy in the mental body, the voice in your head won't stop. And notice the voice in your head is not pleasant.
No, it's mean.
Right. Okay, so think about that as well. Really look at that. That's not really you, which is why you don't like it. Okay, that's societal conditioning. Let's make no bones about it. It's brainwashing. That's what that is. That's that voice in your head that doesn't stop. Doesn't stop. It is your subconscious patterned egoic mind. It's not what you really are, because you're the awareness of that voice in your head. And it's why that voice in your head drives you crazy, because it's not you. And so this meditation, being present, dropping the energy down, humanity must learn how to do this. We cannot heal ourselves by operating from a state of disharmony. Okay, that's like asking cancer to cure itself. It's not going to work. Okay, the ego mind, believe it or not, is what creates all our own disharmony. The voice in our head, whatever conceptualized reality we create for ourselves, the body has the tangible experience of that. That's the mind-body connection in one sentence. Most of us know we make ourselves sick with our stress, freaking out over this, that, whatever it is. Most of us know I got it, making myself sick. I'm a wreck, and now my body's starting to fall apart because of it. That's correct. But what human beings don't know yet is that the other side of that coin also holds true. So in other words, if you are able to experience, and the book literally shows you how to do it, an expanded state of consciousness, your body must have the tangible experience of that as well. And an expanded state of consciousness, it's impossible for sickness and disease to manifest itself or continue to run its program that we call symptoms. So an expanded state equals healing. A contracted egoic mind state equals sickness and disease. So we have to learn how to get the energy out of our head and then command ourselves properly. And there's nothing that we can't do. And it is far simpler and far easier than anyone thinks it is. It's just that we haven't been taught properly. Our mind is so conditioned to reach out for something. We think life is mental. It's not. It's an aspect. It's one tool. The intellect is one tool. It's like having a wrench. We're not going to throw a party because we have a wrench. It's like it's one tool in this gigantic tool belt. The intellect is one tool, and we have been abusing it. And we actually think the intellect is what's going to put our body back together. The intellect compartmentalizes fragments and divides everything. It's not the right tool to put things back together. You wouldn't stitch a blanket with a knife. It's the wrong tool. Healing does not work through the intellect. Healing does not work through thinking. Healing does not work through beliefs. That's spiritual fiction. Healing works through the reconnection with the self. and then all programs stop. And then we start to access our energy properly. That is actually how healing works.
Wow. That's a lot of food for thought. I really look forward to listening to this interview again myself.
Yeah, that I went on and on there a little bit. I apologize, but
No.
it's just important. It's simple.
Mhm.
If it was complicated, I wouldn't be able to do it. It's that easy. I've done this with myself, and I've helped literally thousands of people. Forget everything you think you know when it comes to health. The health is in you. The healer is within. Just like the tree is in the seedling, your health is inside you. Okay, metaphysics, alchemy, it brings out what's already there. Your perfection is inside you. Your supreme health is inside you. It's not outside you. It's not in a tincture or in a pill or in a vaccine, or I don't care what it is, or in a crystal. It's not in that. Those are permission slips. It's in you. Give yourself permission to heal, and then avail yourself of proper teachings and enjoy the magic.
If people wanted to find you online, RJ, where would we send them?
ascendthefrequencies.com is the website. My email, oddly enough, rj@ascendthefrequencies.com. My first book, Supercharged Self-Healing. You can obviously get it on Amazon. It's on Kindle, paperback, Audible. By the way, the narrator that did it, if you like Audible, he did a great job. It's on CD. And also, I've developed a mobile app that has various courses that I've created, one of which is the Supercharged Self-Healing course. You'll have everything that you need on your phone for self-healing and authentic self-realization, because the mechanics behind self-healing and authentic self-realization or enlightenment are very, very similar. They're not the exact same thing, but there's a synergistic relationship between the two. So if what I'm talking about is of interest to you, get the book, go to the website, follow, subscribe on YouTube. I do videos all the time, and really consider getting some of these courses that you can have right on your phone, because they are literally revolutionary and they're completely life-changing.
That's great. Thank you. So I'd love to keep you for another hour, but I know that both of us have other things to do today. So thank you so much for spending some time with us. We really appreciate it.
Tammy, thank you very much for having me. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.